Welcome to the Breslin Breakdown. Joe Dandron, alongside Luke Saccone and Sam Britten across the table from me. Guys, the season, the Michigan State women's basketball season, it's been a ride. And it ended in the NCAA tournament this past weekend.
Big facts.
Actually, this past Monday. So
yes.
Monday felt like a weekend day to me.
It was pretty much a weekend day. So, guys, hey, how was your weekend?
Long, but totally worth it.
It was long. I visited Indiana for the 4th time this month. That's a personal record for myself. Personal record from anyone I know, actually.
Are you? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go for it.
Are you very proud of this?
I am. I made an Instagram post that actually just got its 100th like. I said, after visiting Indiana for the 4th time this month, I can safely say we're going steady. So,
subtle flex with that 100th
I'm taking.
It's cute.
Subtle flex. Okay. Okay.
I've also been to more basketball arenas in Indiana than any other state.
Okay.
Just had to drop that in there.
Yes. Indiana's not. I mean, hey, Indiana, man, it's okay.
I thought. Hey,
I don't want to take away from it, but
I thought it was a good time. You know, I got to see 2 beautiful campuses. I got to see my first NBA arena ever. I've never been to an NBA basketball game.
Well, that's a cool moment.
It
but
was.
also, this might be a hot take about Notre Dame. Was not impressed by the campus.
All right, I don't believe you. I don't believe you because you were really hyping it up.
We didn't see a whole lot of the campus.
No,
I felt like.
Okay.
I think I saw enough.
The interior of the buildings, though, absolutely magnificent architecture.
Oh, they were. They were beautiful.
Absolutely.
So, all right, moving on, though. The women's basketball team went to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2017 when they lost to Arizona State. And they faced off with Central Michigan in the first round, an in-state team, and also former assistant coach for the Michigan State Spartans, Sue Guevara, on the other side, across the way from Susie Merchant. Sue Guevara coached at Michigan State from 1986 to 1996, had quite the tenure here before coaching at Auburn and then going to Central Michigan as the head coach. So, guys, a lot of storylines in that game. Also, head coach Susie Merchant, a CMU alum. What'd you think?
I thought, man, I'm not going to tell you boys right now. I just gave up writing this article at some point. I was writing the recap, and the game just kept changing. And I was like, I might as well just wait at this point because I don't know what the outcome's going to be. And I just stopped, and I just watched I also just wanted to watch the game because it was such a good game. So much fun to watch. My hands were sweating the entire time because I was like, oh boy, this is a good one. But no, that was my takeaway. Definitely one of the better women's games I've seen in my life. Probably the best basketball game I've seen since UNC Duke a few weeks ago. That was a good game. But,
yeah, absolutely. Very thrilling game. Obviously it meant a lot to both teams, both in-state. Obviously Sue Guevara coaching at Michigan State, Coach Susie Merchant playing at Central Michigan and holding the assist record for a long time until, passed by Presley Hudson who played. So, really, really meaningful game. Overall, obviously extremely thrilling. I think all of us can say it was a really, really fun game to go to.
Yeah, I mean the environment there. A lot of Chippewa fans.
There was
made the trip.
Yeah,
maybe
I was
more
impressed.
Maybe more CMU fans than
Michigan State.
Oh, for sure.
I think so.
I would think easily.
They were definitely louder.
They had that solid little student section. It was only made up of 10 people, but they were pretty loud. Coupled with the band, it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, so CMU, the fans, women's basketball is very big at Central Michigan because they've been very good under Guevara the last couple of years. And, I mean, I was impressed by the fact that the fans came out there, but that was easily one of the best games at any level of basketball that I've seen. Just the way the lead changes in the last minute, all those things. That was something. That was a game that was a ton of fun to be at. Great environment. The Joyce Center is a wonderful venue. Great seats. So had a great time as well. And
absolutely.
That was Presley Hudson and Raina Frost and Michaela Kelly, the big three, we'll call them, for the Chippewas really showed out in this one. And I mean, and Sam, you said something about they scored 78 of the 87 points, I believe.
Yeah, they did. They had one of their starters had 2 points, one of the other starters, and then a bench player had 7 to make up that other 9.
Yep.
And I mean, to have 3 players put up 20 plus points, that's great, but that also kind of shows that you need at least 2 bench players, I'd say, and you got to have another starter put up at least something. And Michigan State, that was pretty evident. I don't want to take anything away that Luke's going to say. But it was just they played very good. That was like probably one of the best trios I've seen, but they just didn't really have another supporting cast player, and that was pretty evident throughout the game.
Yeah, and something I also noticed, obviously Michigan State having a very balanced scoring attack. I believe 5 players scored in double figures, but going back to Central, they had that big 3, Raina Frost with 34 points, but I believe most of those points came in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
And Presley Hudson only had 6 points through the first 3 quarters. And then Michaela Kelly, I thought she was pretty consistent throughout, but I thought Raina Frost and Presley Hudson being inconsistent and not being able to score at the same time, I think that eventually hurt the Chippewas going into the fourth quarter because, Raina Frost didn't do a whole lot in that fourth quarter. It was mainly Hudson.
Yeah, Raina Frost honestly didn't even do a whole lot in the second half compared to, but it's very hard to surpass the first half that she had.
Absolutely.
Going 12-18 for 25 points.
Incredible first half.
Yeah.
But I think that fatigued her going forward into that third and fourth quarter, which is why, they had to lean on Presley Hudson.
Yeah, and Kelly had the big third quarter with 15, and then you saw Hudson. It was like they were each taking turns. And yeah, there's such a big drop-off after that top 3 in terms of point production. And to win big games like that, I don't think, I'm not going to say, because they played in the MAC, they could do that. Those are 3 of the most impressive players I've seen.
And they play together so well.
Yes, and it sucks that Frost and Hudson are seniors because that pair is one of the best duos in the country. I think that they could carry a team. They would have given Notre Dame, I think, Hudson and Frost could have scored, 70 combined. So that was a really good showing for those 3, of course, but the 2 seniors just, really played well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's true.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
So I thought you were going to add on to that.
No comment.
But yes.
At least on the Central side, no comment.
So 13 lead chains in the final 5.5 minutes. And Sam, do you want to take us through, Sam and Luke, you guys want to take us through kind of what, transpired there? It was just so back and forth.
Yeah. We were on the call, you and I, Joe, and it was honestly just back and forth, blow for blow. Everyone was hitting basically all their shots. Michigan State would go up and then Central would come back and score. And that was basically the entire fourth quarter, which, everyone was on the edge of their seats and the entire stadium at the end of the game. So it was very fun to watch.
Yeah, that was just, Allen going down and hitting a shot, or Cooks, hitting those turnarounds, those fadeaway jumpers in the end there. And then they'd throw it into Frost, or Hudson would hit a 3. As soon as she saw daylight, she was pulling them in that last couple of minutes, though.
Yeah, she was feeling it.
Yeah, she was cooking. And Sam, that was just, like we said, one of the huge fans. And then it came to that final minute, and Shea Colley, we're finally getting to this, probably the biggest moment of the game. Shea Colley hitting one of the biggest shots of the season. Yeah,
she was, I remember it because that was on my side of the court where I was sitting on the rows. She took it out. She was on the right wing. Got it out to her, and she's such a good ball handler. She struggles finishing sometimes, I will say that, but she had one person guarding her, and then they brought someone else over to take her. She dribbled between both of them, laid it off the glass, and that was like 7.6 seconds to go. And then Central, of course, just had to go down, take a shot. They put it in Michaela Kelly's hands. They played outstanding defense on that play. That was probably the best defense I've seen them. On one play, if I had to pick, that's an all-defensive team, they played amazing.
Yeah, and for a game where, to be completely honest, there was not really, any defense played.
Mm-hmm.
Both teams shot over 50%, just incrementally over at 52, but still, you don't see that a whole lot in basketball. Both teams shooting like that. It's either one team shoots really well and the other team doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Both teams is absolutely on fire, and I honestly did not think there was a whole lot of defense played until that very last play, and that's what made the difference.
Yeah, that last play, I just want to touch on that quickly. Central Michigan was looking to get Presley Hudson the ball, and she had it, but she got double teamed. She had to give it up. That's when Central really started to get frantic. Clock is only at 7 seconds, and you're double teaming. And I believe it was Frost at the top, got it to Kelly, and Kelly just had to toss something up, and it was really great defense by Michigan State.
Yeah.
They had to throw something up there because it was as soon as they got it into Hudson, it was they swarmed her. McCutcheon and Allen did, I believe, came over on her, and she threw it to Frost. And Frost, she's the MAC Player of the Year. You would have think she said, "Give me the rock."
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the hoop because honestly, I was really surprised that Frost passed it to Kelly. Because I thought Frost was going to take that shot. Because if you're Guevara, that's who you want taking the shot, her or Hudson.
Yeah.
They're the seniors, and they're your two best players.
Yeah.
I understand Kelly had the hot hand at one point in the game, but Frost is a great shooter, and so is Hudson, of course, which was, as soon as they took away the three-point shot from Hudson, it was like, she was like, oh man, I got to get rid of it. It felt like she wasn't able to break out of there.
Yeah.
And Sam, okay.
I agree with everything you guys are saying.
Well, and Sam, I think we have one of your favorite stats also that made the difference in a 1-point victory.
Oh, we were talking about it on the car ride home. Big free throw guy right here. They were 11 for 11 on free throws. You miss one of those shots, they're going to overtime. You miss two, Central Michigan wins the game. Or they're going to have a long, foul back and forth. Central goes to the line and shoots two every 2 seconds. So, just to see that, I'm not going to say it like obviously they played good all around. They had 5 scores in double digits. Sidney Cooks had a good game, but free throws are just so important, especially in a close game like this. And it obviously had something to do with the difference.
Absolutely, I totally agree. Michigan State this season has not been the best free throw shooting team, but when it mattered most, they showed up, shot 11 for 11, and that made the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Michigan State getting the win there, 88-87 over the Central Michigan Chippewas in that first-round game. And then, moving on, Michigan State moves to the second round and faces, insert dramatic music, dun-dun-dun.
Notre Dame. Rudy.
Yes.
Rudy.
Newt Rockne, the ghost of Newt Rockne
Yes.
was in the stands.
Nudie Rockne.
No, Newt Rockne, yeah, we're not going to get into that discussion. But... So, yes, the Michigan State Spartans then faced off with Notre Dame in the second round, the number 1 overall seed in the tournament, I believe.
I believe it was Baylor.
Yeah,
Baylor.
Baylor's number 1.
Baylor
overall.
has been the unanimous number 1 for a while, so I'm assuming
I
it's
didn't
them.
know if they were ranked the number 1 overall seed.
I think they believe they have 1 loss on the season. So
But Notre Dame, the 1 seed in the Chicago region, and a very, very scary Notre Dame team.
Yeah, absolutely. No, after watching that game, they are marching their way to honestly a championship game, if not a championship.
Second consecutive
defending
Final Four
champions,
appearance and maybe a championship.
Yeah, and those seniors, obviously with all that experience, they are going to be a tough out, come when they face, those other big powerhouses in the NCAA.
Yeah, and I think it's obviously Muffet McGraw is a great coach. I didn't realize this until now. She's in her 32nd year. Every single tournament appearance, every Final Four, every championship, every conference championship has been under her. So obviously she's a great coach. I'm not going to take anything away from her.
Completely turn around the program.
Exactly. But pretty much gave the program a program to begin with,
Yes.
But they are just like, Notre Dame is just a better team. Physically, they're better coached. But you could take the Spartans, have McGraw coach them. They're just not going to be as good as the Notre Dame Fighting Irish because they're physically better. They were all taller. They were more athletic. Quicker.
Yeah.
They were just hard to
overall.
match up with.
Absolutely.
And you saw that in the rebounding category, I thought, in the first half.
Oh, yeah. They were out-rebounding Michigan State by a long shot. I don't remember the numbers exactly. But, yeah, just who was it?
They had 31 in the first. They had 31 rebounds in the first half.
Yeah, that's what it was.
It's nuts.
They were on pace for 62. It's insane.
Yeah. They had 3 players in double digits at halftime. So I was just like, all right, I guess that's kind of how the game's going.
Yeah, in that game, it seemed like it was going to be close. That first 5 minutes when they called the timeout, it was 11-6.
Mm-hmm.
Remember against Bethune-Cookman? It was 11-7 at that same point in the game. Yeah, and we know how that ended.
Yep.
I remember I texted you guys at halftime when they were down. I don't even know what the score was. It was something bad, and I just went, this ain't it, Chief.
Well, that explains much of the game. Michigan State, they came out and they were aggressive. Allen had the and one, and they looked like they were ready for the Irish. They looked like they were ready for this environment.
Yeah, and something you mentioned to me while we were up there, they did not look scared in those first few minutes. They were not scared of those mighty Irish, but going forward, they just couldn't keep up.
No, and you saw that as soon as I don't know what happened in the huddle when they came out of the timeout, but Notre Dame, Agumbawale had been taking some pretty bad shots prior to that. And she wasn't knocking anything down. As soon as they came out of that timeout, it was like, all right, turn on the Jets, time to play basketball. And they just took off. And I think they finished the quarter outscoring Michigan State by 10, which gave the 11-point lead at the end of the first. And from there, it was just downhill sledding.
Yeah, and they had those 2 last-second shots to end both quarters in the first half. And, I remember, like you guys were saying, they had that kind of streaky run. I think they went like 1 for 8 on 8 shots or something like that. And it was like 6-6, 8-6, whatever. But then, they just called that timeout. That was kind of the end of the game. I think you could have just turned off your TV right then and been like, yep, I know I'll need to know.
Well, no, I think that, I don't know about that, because this Michigan State team had a lot of fight in them. Even in the end of that game, they showed a lot of tenacity, and they looked like they were trying and playing hard. But obviously it was Notre Dame had put in their bench people at the end of the ball game, but Michigan State got back down to the end, and they lost 91-63. I think I forgot to mention the final score. Michigan State fell 91-63 to Notre Dame, and early in the game, it really did look it might be different, although many people thought it was a foregone conclusion when I talked to them before the game. And I didn't want to believe that after covering this team all year, because I feel like in a lot of ways they just deserved a different ending than that. As much as not necessarily like, oh, they deserved to win, but because they were thoroughly outplayed. But I think that they deserved, maybe a closer game than that.
Yeah, and I don't.
Deserving is that's objective. That's not
right.
That's not objective because Michigan State got outplayed. You have to play well. You don't deserve anything. You just got to play the game.
Yeah.
It's just kind of hard, because like watching Jenna Allen play this whole year, and I wrote, so I think there was a line I put in somewhere. She's an inexperienced leader. She didn't really play a whole lot her first 3 seasons. I think she started like 25 games last year, but she didn't consistently start.
But she was a 3-year captain.
She was, but she had other leaders to look to. This year, it was just her,
the lone senior.
And so, like, to see her, like, I asked her a game in the press conference, I said, take me through your mind when you're coming off the floor for the last time wearing green and white. And, she just shed tears left and right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, that's a tough question to ask, Sam.
It
is.
I knew it was coming, but I felt it was a fair question.
Someone had to ask that.
No, someone was going to.
Right.
If you didn't. And when we saw that, a lot of times, so Michigan State, like we said, getting thoroughly outplayed, Notre Dame, Brianna Turner, Arike Ngumbawale, Jackie Young, the junior, had a great game, just going right at the defensive state. Yeah. But Sydney Cooks, she had a good game.
She
did play well.
I don't want to get into this too much because I think we're going to do a year in review podcast at some point. But I kind of question her not starting, but at the same time, I almost wonder if it's for the best. Because they did start her for a few games, then she was kind of streaky, I almost feel like she's a better sixth man. I don't know if you guys vibe with that.
With this team, I think, yes, she is a better sixth man. But
I think,
coming
next year, Jenna Allen's going to be gone.
I think
Sydney Cooks is the heir apparent, I believe, to that starting center position at 6'4", gets a lot of blocks, and can really score the basketball. I think she's the best, maybe not the best player on the team, but I think she's the best she's the best scorer in the paint.
She's got a decent jump shot, too.
Absolutely.
Oh, she can stretch the floor. She's a great shooter.
Yeah.
Great shooter at 6'4". It made sense. You saw that. That's why she was a top 10 recruit. So Michigan State, tough one. They, also, I think this is worth noting. Taryn McCutcheon, very quiet.
Yeah. She had 0 points.
She couldn't do anything. Notre Dame just, bigger.
The size of those guards. I think
faster.
the size of the guards was really tough.
I think so too. Yeah.
Something McCutcheon prides herself on is, being like all over them, defensively. But when you just put those Notre Dame guards who are just bigger and faster, she just really struggled there.
Agumbawale's crossover, she had one where she hung it out to her right and came back to the corner in that mid-range, and she was wide open. Taryn just could not do a thing.
And like you guys said, she's 5'6", but she's fast. She's a good defender for her size.
Yeah. No,
and she's a good shooter, but when you're guarded by someone that's 5-6 inches taller than you, it just makes your life way more difficult.
Absolutely.
No matter what level, no matter how, I don't care how good you are, that is a disadvantage.
Yeah.
And Taryn McCutcheon, a very tenacious defender, but Arike Ngumbawale, I think, is just a better offensive player.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And she'll be a top 10 pick this year. She's a great player.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
She plays in the better conference, and she averaged 20 points a game. So, yeah, that was Taryn McCutcheon. I was a little disappointed, by that because she came out so aggressive against Central Michigan, really setting the tone for the team. I felt like
I agree with that. Yeah.
one of the best highlights of the year, stealing that, picking Hudson's pocket against Central, and then
she did more. She did more than just pick her pocket. She ripped that ball away.
Yeah, she ripped the ball away from her, and then she just hit a step back three, and it was like, oh my god, like what?
Yeah, that was a great sequence from McCutcheon against Central.
And so that was, very interesting. It was just interesting to me that she was as quiet as she was. But yeah, so Michigan State fell. A little bit of a tough ending for a team who had its ups and downs throughout the year. And Sam, like you said, we are going to do a year in review podcast, so we'll get to a lot of that stuff. But if you guys want to say something about just the post game, ending that game at the end of the game, what were your guys' thoughts?
I think that I'm excited for the future Impact women's basketball beat reporters because I think they're going to have a really good team to cover next year. And obviously, it's way more fun. Obviously, we're gonna tell it like it is, but it's more fun to cover a team when they're winning. Way more fun. And so, I'm interested to see what's going to happen. They have top 7, 8 recruiting class.
Top 7. They have the 7th ranked.
7th best recruiting class.
So
they're only losing one senior, and I think that I'm not going to say Jalen Allen can easily be replaced. But like we were saying, I think Sydney Quicks can step up into her shoes.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with all that you said, Sam. I think we, as reporters for this team, we had a great year.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I think going to next year, I think Impact will have another good season with the Michigan State women's basketball team.
Yeah, I think that especially going along this kind of final run with Allen was kind of cool, though. It was kind of special.
Yeah.
Because, I think a lot of times with athletes, people talk about being leaders and all these things. And I get she was the only senior, so I think that made this all a really big deal, was because she's the only senior. I don't want to be like that guy, but like at the same time, it's like she was the only senior, so it's like that's like a really big storyline. And I think it was, not chance that she had her best season. Really hard worker. And I think that a lot of times, athletes, it goes deeper than the production. Like you said, she only started 25 games the year before. And she, after having those big games after Iowa, was kind of a drop-off. But, I think a lot of times it goes deeper than just an athlete. I think that an athlete, are usually seen for the production they give on the court. But I think Allen's legacy with the Spartans goes a lot deeper than that. I think that Allen meant more to this program than just awards and accolades and Final Four appearances. I think she meant a lot to the people who were involved with the team. So that's just my on that. And then, obviously great fun covering the team this year, of course. It was a blast. It was a blast.
Yeah, I just remember we were talking about it in the car the other day, our first stand-up that we did after Media Day back in October, where the frame was there was a good
so
foot
funny, yes.
off to my left.
Yeah.
And now we're just absolutely crushing it on pretty much everything, I think.
We're doing a lot better.
We're doing way better. Learned a lot doing this.
Absolutely. That's what we're here for.
Yes, so I think that's going to do it for us, but we will be back. And Austin Winslow, I apologize. I forgot to call you from the phone line in here before we recorded this. I told you I was going to, but my phone died. So when you listen to this, at the very end, you'll hear my apology. So we'll be back with a final episode of the Breslin Breakdown for Season 2. This was Breslin Breakdown, Episode 11, and we will be back with Episode 12 soon for a year in review in the podcast. Joe Dandron alongside Luke Saccone and Sam Britten and, Austin. Yeah, we'll get to that next time. Have a good one, guys, and have a great week.